everyone. Welcome to Canteen Cup. My name is Scott, and still trying out my new little camera to see how well it does. I thought I would do another short in-truck video, and I wanted to talk about impeachment, really mainly about my thoughts concerning impeachment. It's in the news, it's all over the place, lots of controversy, and I just wanted to give some of my thoughts about it. Now, I'm not defending Trump, and I'm not condemning Trump. That's really not what this is about. I'm talking about, why are we impeaching, to begin with, and really what good is it going to do? Now, according to some news sources, I think it was somebody on Fox News, I read somewhere that they started impeachment about 19 minutes after Trump was elected. And then we had the Russian collusion thing, and now we have the Ukrainian quid pro quo bribery, extortion, whatever thing. But the thought that I have is they've been investigating President Trump for close to 3 years. I mean, this started almost the day after the election. And 3 years, they did the Mueller report. They've had the impeachment inquiries, the investigations. 3 years. That's almost all of a president's first term, 3/4 of it. And they still haven't found anything, that he's done wrong. Some people will say that they don't like his personality, his candor. They don't like, they think he's, a little bit uncouth. Well, that doesn't mean that that's an impeachable offense. But what I begin to wonder about is what are we really doing? What is the House, and that's who is doing this, what is the House really going to gain by all these impeachment investigations, especially at the end of 3 years? Typically when a president is impeached, it's because he's done something. And in my view, the only thing Trump has done was win the election. And that they use all these investigations and ongoing inquiries to find something he did. There's only been 3 presidents that have been impeached, and one was Clinton, one was Nixon, and I believe the third one was Andrew Jackson. So we don't have a whole lot of history of impeachment, but in each one of those, the president had done something, and they, went into impeachment. I think with this one, they're looking for something to impeach him with, and they're using the impeachment process to try to find something. And so, so for me, this whole impeachment thing doesn't hold a lot of weight. Also, if a president is impeached by the House, he doesn't get removed from office. The House cannot do that. That would happen in the Senate. And then that would be the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court would oversee that process. And in the Senate, in order to remove a president from office, you have to have a supermajority. Actually, you have to have a 2/3 vote. So you have to have 67 out of 100 senators in favor of removing a president from office. And in today's climate, in today's world, I don't see that. I don't see that even coming close to that number. The Republicans still hold a majority in the Senate. And I think there's enough conservative, moderate Democrats out there who represent districts which Trump won in 2016, that if they did go to impeach, they would lose their seat in the Senate. Same thing in the House. That there are a lot of districts where Democrats represent people who voted for Trump. And so they have to kind of walk the line there in what they say and do. So even if the House impeaches Trump, so what? Nothing's going to happen. So this kind of becomes a boondoggle, a waste of taxpayer money, because it's nothing is going to happen of this. And like I said, if you can't find something in 3 years of partisan investigation, and what I mean by that is that a lot of these investigations were done by Democrats for Democrats, and if these people if they can't find anything, there just comes a time when you have to cut your losses and say, hey, I lost, And even if he's impeached by the House, I seriously doubt that there'd be enough votes to remove him from office. So what have you accomplished? Well, the House, and that's a problem, that the House has accomplished nothing. They have spent their time, working at this impeachment process, that they're not passing any legislation, or they're not passing a whole lot of legislation. I believe as of today, they may or may not have passed a resolution to continue the budget. And that's their job. That's a job that's specifically designated to the House, is to create a budget every year. And they have not done that. At least not, maybe by the time this YouTube gets on the YouTube, they may have, but this whole impeachment thing seems a lot of waste. And then we have to look at the impeachment process itself. The other 3 impeachments were a partisan impeachment. In other words, both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans, they had majorities, I think, in both sides to enforce impeachment or to go into impeachment inquiry. Whereas in today's impeachment, it is strictly the Democrats. It was voted right down party lines. Of course, the Democrats have a majority in the House, not by much, but it's just a simple majority to vote for impeachment. And it was right down party lines. And then when they crafted the rules for impeachment, they biased, again, towards the Democrats. Republicans are very restricted in who they can subpoena. They're very restricted in who and how they can question. The president himself is not allowed to have himself or counsel present during the impeachment process. Much of the impeachment was done in secrecy, which in past impeachments, it was public. And when you look at it, and I'm not really saying looking at it, being pro or against Trump, but if you take an objective look at it and you realize, and you look at it and say, hey, this is rather one-sided. And I think a thinking person would see that and have to look at that, maybe with a similar jaundiced eye, and say, hey, even though I don't like the guy, I don't think they're treating him right. Or, hey, I like the guy and it's unfair. Well, if you put it into perspective, what if this was you? What if you had this where you could not be represented by your lawyer? Your lawyer couldn't even be present during the questions, could not submit evidence. You could not sit there and listen to the hearing. You could not submit evidence that you are being judged without having an opportunity to defend yourself. And so, while I am not for or against impeachment for Trump, I mean, if he did something, then yes, and go forward with the impeachment. But really, this is just a fishing expedition. At least that's what it seems to me. Or a witch hunt, as the president says. They can't find anything. And so it's just a waste of taxpayer time, taxpayer money. I think it's a distraction against other things that are trying to accomplish. If you look at some of the things that Trump has done, just off the top of my head, he has renegotiated trade agreements. He has gotten European countries to give more money into their own defense. He has reduced the amount of money, I believe, going into the UN. We have the lowest unemployment rate in 50 years. We have the lowest black unemployment rate in ever. We have the lowest Latino unemployment ever. He's pulling troops out of the Middle East. So I don't, he's done a lot of good stuff. He's working on, healthcare, reducing cost of prescription drugs. And so I think there's a lot to be said about the president. And I think, we're being covered over by this impeachment stuff, and we're not, able to really see some of the good things he's been doing. Now, again, it's not, it's not it's not I'm not trying to be partisan by this. I mean, I do think he's done a lot of good things for this country. He has brought jobs back. And so I think there's a lot of good that he has done. But if he's done an impeachable offense, okay, impeach him, but turning somebody into a witch hunt, I'm just not for. I don't think that's what the impeachment process was designed for. I think it's a shame that our country has gone down this route, gone this way. I just really hope that we can work through this and move beyond it. I guess is really what I'm trying to say. And we need to be able to reach across the borders. And I'm talking about reach across the aisle, not only talking about the Congress and the Senate, but I'm talking about everybody. We have to get back where Republicans and Libertarians, Independents and Democrats can sit down and have a conversation together. We need to get back to that. And right now we don't have that. And so really we need to dial down the rhetoric all around, and let's get back to doing business. And really that's all I have. Like I said, part of this is trying out my new camera. Part of this is it's something that's been on my mind, that this impeachment thing, I think, is gotten a little out of hand, and I think we need to go back to running the government. So that's all I got for y'all, and I hope everybody's having a good day. I hope everybody's getting ready for Thanksgiving, and I hope the best for everybody. I hope the best for this country. That's really what I want. So everybody stay safe and stay secure, and we'll see you out there.